Hello students, I am Amit Kumar Tiwari. Today I will discuss about the important topic of transport layer, that is transmission control protocol and user datagram protocol. These are two important protocols that we are using in transport layer. In As you can see in this diagram, before transport layer, we have studied about IGMP protocol and ICMP protocol, that is that exist in network layer. Transport layer lies between application layer and network layer in TCP/IP suite. Okay. So let's start with uh, important protocol, that is TCP protocol. Okay. As we know that there is three important protocol. Mostly we are using TCP and UDP. So in this session we are going to explain the transmission control protocol and user datagram protocol, that is UDP. We are just see there is another protocol, that is SCTP, that is a stream control transmission protocol, but we will not discuss it here. Okay. So what is transmission control protocol? Transmission control protocol is a connection oriented protocol. It creates a virtual connection between two control protocols to send data. In addition, TCP uses flow and error control mechanism at the transport layer. Next important protocol is user datagram protocol, that is UDP. The user datagram protocol is called a connectionless unreliable transport protocol. It does not add anything to the services of IP except to provide process to process communication instead of host to host communication. And the last one is stream control transmission protocol. It is a new reliable message oriented transport layer protocol. SCTP is mostly designed for internet applications that have recently been introduced. These new applications need a more sophisticated service than TCP can provide. So that is the basic description, you can say brief description about the three protocols. Let us we explain one by one. First one, transmission control protocol, TCP. The transmission control protocol is byte streaming. So first of all we have to learn what is the byte streaming. See, in a computer, when we have the application running on, and these applications continuously generating data, or you can say continuously generating bits, and the collection of 8 bit, we know it is called as a byte. So we can say our application continuously generating bytes. So there is no limit how much an application can generate a byte. It depends upon their use and purpose. So as we see in the diagram, there is a sending process, that is at the you can say at one machine, and there is another machine which are going to receive that particular input or data. So sender one application continuously generating a byte which flows from this particular system to another system in form of stream of bytes. The responsibility of transmission control protocol within a transport layer, the transport layer continuously collect a stream of byte and divide it into a segment and then forward it to receiver system. Okay. So we can see here these information, that stream of bytes are divided into segments. All the segments are placed inside a envelope. You can say a envelope, and we are as in our normal life, like when we want to send a letter from one place to another place, we put all data inside an envelope and place address information on top of the envelope. Similarly, all the raw data, all the actual data placed inside the segment. There may be more than one segment for sending a special information, or you can say for sending data from source system to destination system, and all the segments have extra information that is called as a header. Okay, including these header information, this particular segment transfer from source to destination system. After that, when it reaches to receiver system, this information was decrypted. Okay, and again process move on so that the actual information transferred and received to the receiver system. So that is the concept of byte streaming. So again we can say, what is the byte streaming? Information continuously generated by a sending process application, and it transferred in form of byte. The group of bytes is called as a segment. Each segment have a header, okay, that is called as a transport layer header. Okay, so next point is connection oriented. As per our definition, we are saying that transmission control protocol is reliable. What is the means of reliable? Reliable, that means when we want to transfer a packet from source system to destination system or receiver system, we have to sure that the particular packet moved from source to destination will definitely reach to the destination system, and there must not any type of error occur that change the actual message, or none of the bits should be corrupted. This type of facility is provided in case of transmission control protocol, that is not provided in the user datagram protocol. So we can say transmission control protocol is connection oriented. Connection oriented has another meaning. It forms a three-way handshaking protocol. What is the three-way handshaking? In case of three-way, it established connection using three-way handshaking. How? First of all, if a sender wants to send a data to a particular receiver, first of all it generate request and send the request to the receiver's system. For example, in the particular diagram, this particular request has the sequence number 8000. Okay, after getting the request, the server process the request, and if it is free and able to collect the data provided by the client, it acknowledge him with a acknowledgement number, with a sequence number. Okay, when a client receives that particular acknowledgement, then again it starts transferring data. Okay, this concept of method is called as a three-way handshaking, that is already studied by you. So we can say in connection oriented, connection is established in case of transport layer using three-way handshaking. It is reliable and it has error detection system. So that is the second important point, or you can say that is the second characteristic of transmission control protocol. In the previous diagram, the synchronization system, this particular bit, this one SYN, is cannot carry data, but it consumes one sequence number. It carries the sequence number only, but at the time of acknowledgement, it segment cannot carry data but does consume one sequence number. And similarly for acknowledgement system, we will discuss it in the header field also. So next one is full duplex. The transmission control protocol is full duplex. What is the meaning of full duplex? If there are two systems, first one is client and another one is server, so when the client established a connection with a server, so at a particular time server and client can transfer their own data to each other. It means a two-way communication at the same time can happen. So we can say TCP is full duplex. Next important point is piggybacking. What is piggybacking? Piggybacking means to ride over something. Suppose I want to send a data to server. Server receives the data and send me acknowledgement. But if we have some data that is transferred to the server system to client system, so server can use that particular acknowledgement to transfer their data also. This particular concept is called as a piggybacking. So we can say in piggybacking, the sender sends a data packet along with the acknowledgement. If any acknowledgement needs to send at the time of transmission of the data packet, in reliable communication, each packet has an acknowledgement from the receiver. So what is the reliable meaning here? Reliable means suppose if we in all places where you want some type of assurity that your data is submitted to a particular place or not, so after submission you need some type of receipt. This receipt is called as the acknowledgement in terms of message. Okay, so if we transferred a data to a system, that particular system transfer me a acknowledgement number that will generate, that represents that the data transferred to the system is received successfully. Okay, so next important characteristic is error control. TCP provides reliability using error control. Error control includes mechanism for detecting corrupted segments, lost segments, out of order segments and duplicate segments. Error control also includes a mechanism for correcting errors after they are detected. So what is the need of error control? Suppose a sender, or you can say a packet is transferred from client to server, but due to some environmental effect, some type of noise generated in the network or in the system, some of the bits are corrupted. So the TCP, because TCP provides a reliable connection, so it has a mechanism by using which it can detect whether the data received by the server is the same as it transferred from the client system. For this particular they have error control mechanism also. Okay, look, error control mechanism is also present in the data link layer. In data link layer we have error control mechanism, but it is also present in transport layer. So TCP has the error detection and some type of So in error control, as I earlier described you, error control mechanism is also used to detect whether the data transferred from the source system is actually received by the receiver system in the same manner. In same manner, it means the order should be correct. Out of order data should not be required and should not be accepted, and duplicate segments should not be accepted. As we told you, the error control mechanism is also handled at the data link layer, but for detection purpose, at that point we are using CRC, but here the error control uses the checksum method to detect whether the actual data received or the data received is changed. Okay, by using error control mechanism, the receiver at least know whether the data is received is correct or not. Next one is flow control. Flow control basically means that TCP will ensure that a sender is not overwhelm a receiver by sending packets faster than it can consume. Look, if two systems have different capability to accept data, say a man has age of 30 and a child of age of say 12 years. As we know, the capacity of transferring some object is different in these two situations. So it is a responsibility of the system to check the capacity of the system and transfer data according to that one. Otherwise, overflow can be occur. While congestion control is about preventing a node from overwhelming the network, while flow control is about the end node. Look, in simple language we can say the congestion control prevents a nodes that you can say a router can be a node, that is inside network. If you are talking about the network, it is called as a congestion control, but if we are talking about the system, it is called as a flow control. Okay, so these are some key features about the transmission control protocol. Let's see the header information of TCP. So transmission control protocol, as we can see, we have the actual data that is received by the top layers or application layer, and after getting the data, the particular transport layer divide into a segments and append a header and then transfer these combined package, these combined information from source system to destination system. So here we have some information in the header fields like source port address, destination port address, both are of 16 bits, sequence number of 32 bits, acknowledgement number of 32 bits, header length of 4 bits, reserved 6-bit space for the future use, and urgent flag. You can see here urgent flag, acknowledgement, push, reset, synchronize and finish. These are 6 flags we are using, that is called as a control flag. Window size, checksum of 16-bit and urgent pointer, and the last one we have options and padding. This is the whole information of the TCP header. Let's describe each of them one by one. Okay, first of all, what is port address? Look, we know there are 4 types of addressing in computer network. First one is system address, you can say MAC address. Next one is logical address, it is also called as the IP address. Third one, port address, and the last one is called specific address, you can say that is URL. Say when we are talking about IP address, a particular system has an IP address if it is connected to a network or internet. Okay, but we know on a single system we can run many application, and it not be possible here that if we are using application of say Gmail, and there is another application of Yahoo Mail, so it will not possible that when we receive data for Yahoo it goes to Gmail. That means we have a dedicated information, dedicated line by which we can get the exact information to exact applications. Okay, the information are not mixed there, we have separate lines. These lines are called as a port number. It means all the applications are connected with a dedicated port number, with a special port number. We can see that here source port address and destination port address have 16-bit. It means the maximum port number that we can have, that will be 2 to the power 16 minus 1, and if you calculate it, that will be 65,535. So the range of port number will be from 0 to 65,535. Okay, that will be 36 exactly, but when we are starting with 0, so one number less. So from range 0 to 1023 are called well known port number. What is the meaning of well known port number? Some specific applications have specific port number. Okay, that is already decided, or you can say that is default. Like for FTP we have port number 80. Say if one application, I am typing a URL on our system to access a server. Okay, so whenever I start the browser, in one tab when we write gmail.com, so might be possible it transfer you can say a port number, system transfer a port number to me, and that will be maybe 7001 for the Gmail. Okay, but if we are using a particular web server, might be using at port 8080. Okay, so that 7001 port number connected with a port number at the destination system at, and that is 8080. So each and every application have a unique port number. Okay, so next one is called as a sequence number. What is the sequence number? Look, in the previous diagram when we are talking about that the system transferred a stream of byte. So suppose application generated a stream of bytes in this manner. So and the transport layer collected bytes and divide it into a segment. We are assuming that the particular segment have 4 bytes. Okay, so each and every byte have a special number, and that special number is called as a sequence number. Sequence number of byte. Okay, so the system can provide it a random byte information, random number, but after that it is continuous. That means it is not necessary to start with 0. You can start with any number, but after that for each particular packet or for each complete data you have to provide the continuous byte sequence, and that should be of 32 bits. Okay, next one is acknowledgement number. So we can say the acknowledgement number is the sequence number of the next byte the receiver expects to receive. What is the meaning of receiver expects to receive? Look, when we are talking about TCP uses piggybacking. So in piggybacking, it also follows the selective repeat method and go back n. So in case of selective repeat, you can say we are not going to transfer acknowledgement after receiving each packet. So what we are transferring, if we get the acknowledgement of number like 5000, it means the acknowledgement number should be 5001, because all the data should be received in order. It means we are always transferring a request the next number, next packet number that we are expecting from the client. Server, which number server respond? So if server respond with 5000, it means up to 4999 number packets are received successfully, and now server expecting packet number, you can say packet number 5000 from the client. So it is the acknowledgement number. If the acknowledgement number is 5000, it means up to 4999 received, and next expected packet number will be 5000. Okay, so it is also of 32-bit. Next one is H length. H length is header length. That is very important and interesting also. What is H length? The range of H length, header length, will be from 20 to 60 byte. It is of 4 bits. So how can you say, if we are talking about 4-bit information, so minimum value that we can store, decimal equivalent that we can store using 4-bit binary will be 0, and the maximum will be 15 exactly. So when we are talking about 15, so it also uses scale of 4. So what is the meaning of scale of 4? If the maximum value is 15, when we are using 4-bit binary, max number decimal equivalent will be 15. So 15 into 4, that will be 60. So here the 60 byte information. Okay, maximum range. And what will be the minimum? Minimum value should be 20. So let's talk about a special example. Let us assume a 4-bit number, that is 1000. That is a binary number 1000. The decimal equivalent of this one is 8. So we use scale of 4. So it will become 8 into 4, that is 32, and it is in the range of 20 to 60. So it is a valid H length. Okay. What will be the minimum value? So if we are using 0101, the value will be, decimal equivalent will be 5. After scaling, it will be 20. So now it is also in our range, the minimum value 20. But what about when we are talking about we have a packet, TCP packet, and at the H length field, in H length field we have the value say 0011, and you have to say that explain these overall communication. So our answer should be 0011 is not a valid H length. Why? Because the decimal equivalent of 0011 is 3. When we use a scale of 4, so that will be 12, and it is now less than 20, because H length range must be from 20 to 60. So it is a invalid H length number. Okay, you got my point, I think. So next one is reserve bit. Reserve bit, it reserved for future use, and during the transmission In normal situation it must be 0. Okay. Next one is we have some control field. First one is URG. The value of urgent pointer field is valid. That means if we are saying that this particular data is that we are transferring is urgent, so we have to set the value 1, otherwise 0. Acknowledgement, if the packet is these we are transferring a packet including data, so this should be 0, and if the packet having the acknowledgement, then this particular should be 1. Look, there must not be any type of confusion that between acknowledgement number and acknowledgement. In case of acknowledgement number, we got the numbers only, like 5000, 6000, the exact acknowledgement number. But if we are transferring the acknowledgement, then this particular flag, this flag should be 1, otherwise 0. Okay. Push flag. What is the purpose of push flag? Sometimes our application are transferring very less information, say less than 1 byte, or you can say up to 1 byte. Okay, during the chat information. So it might be possible system realize and may think that or programmed as we can transfer the data to upper layers only when it reach to a upper limit or fulfill the all requirements. I think you are not getting my point. Say we have a courier person. Okay, what it does, it collects all the envelopes by all the person and transfer it at a particular time, say daily at 4 p.m. he uses to transfer the packet that are received up to 4 p.m. Okay, but if you have some urgent work, so now you are saying it's urgent, transfer it or send it now. So this type of activity is also done here. In case of push, we are going to, if we set the value 1, it means that data is urgent and it immediately transfer to the application. Okay. Next one, reset flag. The purpose of reset flag is due to some problem. If the system wants to reset the connection, then it transfer the data in this particular field 1, otherwise 0. Next one is synchronization. It is also called as a sequence number. If there is a establishment of connection, that means if we are transferring the first packet, then it should be 1, otherwise it should be 0. And if in last flag fin, that is if we want to terminate the connection, that means like a string, we have the special character that indicate the string is end or not. And similarly, during the transmission field, if we are sending the last packet of the whole information, then we set the value 1. It indicates that we transferred our data completely. Okay. So this is the all 6 control field information. Okay. Next one is window size. What is window size? The window size field in the TCP packet header is the number of bytes the sender will buffer for the response. That is, the window size field in a packet sent by the client tells the server how much data the client can receive and thus how much the server can send before client would need to drop packets. Look, I want to send you a message. Suppose here we are going to send you assignments. Okay, what you expect from us as a faculty? You expect 4 to 5 questions maybe in your assignments. What happen if we are giving 100 questions in one assignment? Might be your system fails. It means a window size indicates the maximum capacity of a receiver. So while transferring the information, it also tells the client about the our capacity, about the receiver's window. That's why we are saying for receiving window. If sender, say if client wants to send data to the server, so server broadcasts their capacity, and if server wants to transfer data to client, the client tells the server to their capacity. Okay, here the window size is 2 power 16, so maximum data that we can transfer will be 65536. Okay. Next one is checksum. We already discussed about the checksum. It is for error control. TCP is providing the reliable connection. So TCP/IP checksum is used to detect corruption of data over a TCP/IP or IPv4 connection. Internet version 4. It uses the checksum to detect corruption of packet headers, that is source, destination and other metadata. The TCP protocol includes an extra checksum that protects the packet payload as well as the header. What is the meaning of payload? Payload means the actual data. Okay, payload means actual data. Okay, so checksum bit is of 16 bit. Next one is urgent pointer. Urgent pointer, that means when we set the value here urgent flag, if we set the value here 1, it means you also told the particular system from which point to which point you have the urgent information stored that you are transferring. That is using the urgent pointer. Okay, so the urgent pointer is used to indicate the priority to process data. The TCP header field urgent pointer communicates the current value of the urgent pointer as a positive offset from the sequence number of this segment. The urgent pointer points to the sequence number of the last octet in a sequence of urgent data. Here, this one. Okay. Next one is option and padding. Every system has a capacity to get the data, okay, with a maximum limit. So option and padding is used for extra data. Normally in data link layer, suppose a particular data transfer from transport layer to network layer to data link layer, then physical layer, then at the receiving point it first received by the physical layer, then data link layer. So there must be some type of maximum limit to which a data can be transferred to that particular media. Okay, the particular data can be accepted, and it is called as a MSS. MSS, maximum segment size. The maximum segment size in case of data link layer for Ethernet, that is you can say, that is as I remember 1500. Okay, 1500 byte. Okay, but suppose transport layer segment size is 65500. Okay, so we have some example, like window size is 10,000 byte. MSS, that is maximum segment size, is 1000 byte. So what indicates? It's mean that we can send 10 packet of size 1000 byte. So MSS, if the MSS is 1000 byte and window size is 10,000 byte, so we can get the information at we need 10 packet to transfer complete information. Okay, so this is the first part of TCP header. Thank you very much. In next lecture we will discuss about the UDP. Thank you.